Hi there, welcome back. Okay, it's a little bit noisy here, so I do apologise if there's any background noise going on. Right, we're getting onto the actual modelling process of making our minion now, which I know is something that some people do have some difficulty with. Now, as you can see for the skeleton, I've put this into what's known as a natural pose. It makes it a little bit easier for us, and we're going to model it in the same sort of pose. That way, when we bring the arms down, there's going to be creases under the arms, and so on. Looking at the shape of it, let's try and find a good basic shape to start off with. Now, you're going to want to probably use quads or tris for this. You don't want to use like five-sided polys and things like this. And if we go under extended, you'll notice that we do have choices like capsule, like so. And there we go. You'll see that that's kind of one possibility for what we want to do. Personally, I don't think that's the best option to come from. The best option usually is just going to be coming from a standard box and working from there, or even just working from a standard plane, or even a cylinder. Okay, I mean that's too many polygons, but we can certainly start from there. Now, we don't have blueprints. We're not that fortunate. If you're lucky enough to have a concept artist that gives you blueprints, then you can work from blueprints. But sadly we don't. Oh, puppy. Ah, dear me. So, what I'm going to do is work from a box, which will give me slightly more leeway in what I'm doing. So I'm just going to drag that up. And you'll notice it's just one polygon per side at the minute. And I'm going to right click, convert to editable poly. It's always better to start off with less rather than more. Just do a connect straight through the middle here. And chamfer those out like that. Go straight through the middle there. Just bring it out like that. And in like that. And you'll see we start to kind of start moulding our shapes a little bit already before we've even started to reproduce anything. So we're just messing with the shape. Okay, so don't be scared of obviously scaling everything down and just, working from this. At the minute it's important just to get an overall rough shape for this part. And what we want to be able to do is later on just take this and do some subdivision on it. So what I'm going to do is just bring that up to there. Okay, just a bit higher. And this is going to be representative of the height of our model. Just go to my front viewport, so that comes down to there and up to there, that's about right. Now, I'm going to use the Swift Loop tool just to put in some important loops that I need now. So for example, top of the shoulders, outer waist, top of the head's already covered. And I'm going to start just pulling in areas here, like that. I think I could probably put another Swift Loop in. Let me see, where's a good place for that? Maybe about here. Okay, that gives us the shoulder here. And then I can probably just, go straight through here and do a connect maybe and just pull this out. Okay, and here where the center of his tummy is. Like that. And then down here. Okay, not too much, because it's going to narrow right in anyway when we pull its legs out. Okay, and this gives us this kind of dummy shape here. Now you'll notice it's all the same on this side, so obviously we want to make it match up to what we've got here. Let's just bring it over to here then. And what I'm going to do is just make this a slightly different colour. Like that, so I can see it against this one. And then we can start to just mess around with the shape here as well. You can see this is a little bit too high, so I'm going to bring this down. This is a little bit too high as well. Bring that forward. Grab this one. This one's going to come out a little bit. Down here, where his tummy is, we'll just bring this one up a bit. To about there. And just here, I'm going to bring his stomach out again. Like that. Okay, and that gives him a bit of more of a natural shape. Okay, now, things we have to look at here are on the top. Now you can see we have these 4 polygons making the top here, but we don't really have any clear shape for them yet. Our choices are we can probably just add an extra edge all the way down the middle here, and this will allow us to define some more shape for him. So, if I just click here, do a ring, and a connect. I'm going to bring that up. That curves the top of the head in. Now here, this one's slightly more complicated because this is obviously where his bottom of his body is going to be. And his legs are going to come out of. Right then, so as you know, it's important to make sure that our model's going to subdivide okay, because this is all about subdivision really as well. So what I'd like to do is make a copy of our model over here, and I'm just going to make an instance, okay? And the good thing about that is that now I can obviously come over here and work on this one. And as you see, everything I do on this one's kind of duplicated on this one. Problem is everything on this one's duplicated on this one. So if I make a reference, oops, wrong one. Bear in mind I'm having one of those days here. Right, so we've got an instance and we've got a reference, right? So on the instance, if I throw on a turbo smooth, it affects all 3 of them. On the reference, if I throw on a turbo smooth, it affects only this one. Capiche? See if you can guess which one it was that we needed it to work on. There we go. Now the good thing about this is that we'll be able to obviously see if our model's working okay straight away just from this. I'll put on isoline display as well, so that it's the same number of polygons that we're looking at. Okay, so see? And that allows us to create our creases and things in real time here as well, which is pretty cool. Let's go back over here again, because what we need to do really is work down here where we're going to be bringing out the legs. Okay, so we're going to have to split this up a little bit down here, and we don't want to make any creases in our model if we can help it. So let's do a ring and a connect. Just make sure it hasn't affected the overall shape of this. Now over here, I want to bring these out a little bit more just to exaggerate the shape of the head. Don't want to bring this neck in quite so much. It should just be a kind of an impression of a neck rather than actually a neck. And I think his body's a little bit too weebly. You'll understand that if you've ever known what a Weeble toy is. If you haven't, then you won't, obviously. Now his stomach's sucked in at the minute, so we don't want that. Let's bring his stomach out a little bit. Give him a slight paunch, but not a lot. Over here, at the back, at the minute he doesn't have a bum. or whatever it is you call it, butt or whatever. So we'll give him a slight curve down here, and we'll bring this, which is the rear obviously, or the bottom of his bum, whatever you want to call it. I know you, if you're American, you tend to call bums like those guys who panhandle for money. In England we call bums and panhandling something completely different. Okay, so there you go. Now he's curved at the back there like he should be. You'll notice I'm not going to bother like starting to put in anything from the face yet. We don't have enough polygons anyway, really. What we want to be doing at the moment is really looking at arms. So what I'm going to do is start dragging this over here, so it's on top of our skeleton. And I'm going to bring this out as well. So now we can see that our pelvis is too low for our legs. Let's bring that up a bit. It doesn't need to be massive, but it does need to be up a bit there, and that looks roundabout right. Okay, we're going to have to work on these arms and legs now. Now then, as you can see, if I look, it's this polygon here that we're going to be kind of originating things from. So I'm going to bring his shoulder back on this side and this side. There and there. And just make sure, obviously, it hasn't affected our main piece over here. I don't think his head's quite broad enough at the top, because these are supposed to look quite intelligent. So what I'm going to do is just broaden the top of his head a bit as well, because it's supposed to look quite flat at the top. There, that's slightly better. It seems a lot of effort to be going to for what is, in essence, just a bean. However, you know. Okay, and again, this is all just about constantly looking at your model, deciding where it's going. The thing about doing things this way is that, you know, you're constantly going to be able to tell exactly what it is you're doing. Now, here is where we're going to have our first join for an arm. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to work on one side at the minute. I can always use symmetry, because everything at the minute is symmetrical. And I'm just going to bring that out. You'll notice we've got this kind of nub thing coming out here. And I'm just going to use my Swift Loop tool here. Remember, if you don't have Swift Loop, that's fine. Now let's see how it looks when we use Swift Loop, just to obviously bring these all in. You want to make sure you see that over here, where we're doing this, it's, you see where we've got that kind of stepped look going on. It's because we've got this part here coming round, so we've actually got kind of one too many polygons here, where that is. So there's obviously this kind of stepping difference here, where it looks not quite right. So what we can do is get rid of the step just by getting rid of these parts. So let's just use a target weld and we'll see the difference. Okay, and there now you see that's a much smoother shape. Yeah, the way it's coming out there. Now I know there's a little bit of slight bend in the thing, but if we add an extra iteration to our mesh, there won't be. Now let's pull it a little bit closer in. Okay, and now you see it's coming straight out the way it should be. I'm now going to move these down, like so, and just get these to come into the right area, which is about here. And here, where our shoulder is, obviously, bring that up to there, and let's go and check our model. And as you can see now, it is coming out okay. And the good thing is that because we've got it set back, there's room for the arm to stretch forward and backwards here, yeah? Whereas if we had this set forward, it's this polygon I'm talking about here, if we had it set forward more, then we'll get a lot more creasing here, which we wouldn't want. We want it to kind of drop and angle forward naturally so they can look like they can hold stuff and all that kind of funky thing. Okay, now, let's get this in the right area, because we need to bring it back a little bit like that. Good thing about this is we can literally have fun just kind of aligning it to this, just getting it to all fit into place. We don't want it to align too tightly to it though. In that back. And we want to avoid having too many sharp angles. That's quite a sharp angle there, you see. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit more. And back. Right, so that's in between where our elbow's obviously at. Make sure our arm's angled back. And now, what I can do is just do a random, just any length extrude, like that. Because I'm going to pull it down to where our wrist comes in. Like so. And again, I'm just getting it to go over the bones. Now, it's funny, the first time I actually saw this method was, I think, in about 2002. And it was being done by... oh god, what's his name again? Kroll. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his time lapses, but I mean, he was massively influential. Still is, really. And there you go, you see. Now the only thing I'm going to say about these arms is they're a little bit thin at the moment. We can thicken them out a little bit, but we'll do that once we've created the wrist and everything, yeah. But yeah, Martin Kroll, absolutely fantastic artist. Always really loved his work. Okay, now I'm going to extrude this down. Again, it's all about the tweaks, so tweak it down into the hand area here. And let's see, just up a bit, there we are. It's a lot easier when we've only got literally 4 vertexes to mess around with. Okay, it means that, you know, things become a lot easier for us. Now, if you're having difficulty, just change this to screen view. And then, as you can see, our tool here is always going to be like that. I think I accidentally paused this bloody thing. I'm going to see where I paused it and then come back into this again, so I'll see you in the next part.